There's a famous saying that perspective is everything. In fact, Wayne Dyer, a famous American self-help author, even went so far as to say that when you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change. So whilst you can't always control events, you can control your perspective. And that is what this video is all about. I'm purposely not standing sideways on because to say the diet hasn't gone well is an understatement. However, we're back on it. So I did a race this week on Tuesday, which was a ZRL, came 12th in a Cat C, quite pleased with that. Did a ladder race on Wednesday, finished last, badly last, terribly last. So that wasn't so great, but everybody else was a B-class rider, which I used to be, but I'm no longer. And now I'm about to do an A race because my Zwift Racing Score puts me in the top category, which seems unfair. So let's just see how that works out. So we'll put the Cycle Plus fan on, set it to smart mode. And then I've also got my VAT Master at the back. So if nothing else, I should be well ventilated. Warm up done. So we've got breakfast crits and grits, 21 odd kilometres, 200 metres of climbing or so. So it'd be really interesting to see where this ends up for me. I think there's about 40 to 45 racing, so a decent crowd. Sure, I'll be able to find somebody to ride with whatever happens, and that's always nice. So let's see how we get on. 5 seconds to go, 52 in the race. Let's see how fast the start is. So it was the usual fast start, as these Zwift races always are. And we're going to look at this from 3 different points of view in terms of perspective and how maybe I can apply some positives whereabouts you'd normally think there are negatives. So the first one is the start. I actually managed to keep up with the pack, didn't lose position, and survived all the way through that fast start until we got to the first climb. We'll look at the climb in a second, and I'll do a bit of a voiceover as we go over it, but there is some perspective that we could lend to that. And then the final bit is about how the rest of the race turned out. Before going into this race, my racing score was 6:52, and the problem with that is that it means that I can only race in either advanced races, which are definitely far too good for me, or the A race, which only comes up once every couple of hours on the Tour de Zwift or the Z Racing series. So it restricts the amount of times that I can race and puts me in a category that I used to be able to compete in, but really can't now. At least, you know, I don't come last, but I'm a long way off staying with the first pack. So really, I guess what I'm hoping is that the Zwift Racing Score adjusts itself to recognise my current abilities, and then I can race with similar standard riders, and that makes for more fun. Let's see how I got on. Okay, so I'm going to put this on fast forward, but as we go up the climb, you can see I've managed to stay with the pack pretty much all the way to the top, which I was very pleased with. And it's only over the last few hundred meters that I just drop off the back and then I just can't get back on. So as you can see, what I've managed to do is end up with a group of 4. We're going to try and stick with these. And we've pretty much followed that all the way down to the bottom. And from here on in, I actually managed to stay with this group of 4 for most of the race. In fact, it's not until we get to the 11 kilometre mark that we start to see a couple of the riders out of our group 4 start to pull away. You can see Leach has gone first. I've then tried to stay on at the back, and then MP starts to pull away as well. And actually that just leaves me and Hahn together, and we continue, you know, together for a little while until we get towards the time whereabouts, because Breakfast Crits and Grits is a circular route whereabouts you do the same section 4 times. We stay together until we actually get overtaken by the leading pack. I think these are the leaders. Bloody hell. So for the last 7 kilometres or so, I rode on my own. So I reverted into no man's land mode and tried to maintain my gap with the riders in front of me and the rider behind me. And the ones in front of me actually pulled away, but I pretty much maintained a consistent gap with Kopax, who was behind me. So I knew that I was going to finish in 44th out of 54. Not unhappy with that, if I'm honest. And I think over this last 400 metres or so, I was pretty pleased that we're getting towards the end. I was surprised actually how much this race took out of me. But even with all that said, even when you're racing on your own, one of the Zwift rules, a law if you like, is you've got to do a sprint finish. So as we go into this final climb, it's out of the saddle, give it a push, see how much power we've still got in our legs, and make sure that we get over that line. So I'm going to hand over to James post-race and he'll take you through his thoughts.
I'm going to do a warm down in a minute, but basically my racing score's gone down 21 points, which you hope that doesn't happen, but in reality I knew that my racing score was too high. So 6:31 means that I can now race in the 5:10 to 6:50 racing score category. So that's good for two reasons. Number one, I can race every hour now as opposed to every other hour because of the groupings. And secondly, it sort of puts me whereabouts I think I should be, which is sort of mid to high C at the moment, but definitely not, probably not even a low B really. So I'm looking forward to the next race now in the right category, and then we'll have a real measurement of how we're doing. But not today, obviously.
So there you go, perspective. Stayed with the pack to start with, managed to stay with the pack for most of the climb except maybe the last 200 or 300 metres. Even then managed to stay with the group for the next 11 kilometres, and then managed to stay with another single rider for most of the way towards the end, and even managed to do a sprint finish. And I think really the perspective that I've got from this is that sometimes you have to start again. So I was racing a pretty high B category actually. I was getting podiums or very close to it. Only about 7 or 8 months ago, and then through the summer, one thing and another, lost my fitness, put some weight on, and you know, this is where I am today. So the key to it is actually not to measure to where I was 7 or 8 months ago, but to start measuring from where I am now, and that's what I'm going to do. And this week I'll be doing another race, but this time hopefully in the right category, but we'll see about that. Maybe it's still too high, and my perspective on that is I should enjoy it a whole lot more. So please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and if you like this kind of video, then this next video might be something of interest to you. Thanks for watching.